lighting is really not it for this video, but it's early in the morning, it is cloudy, so we're gonna have to work with it. Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Alessandro. Thank you so much for being here today. In today's video, I'm kind of going to do a sit-down, chit-chatty, very casual, non-scripted type of video where I'm going to be talking about my reading goals for 2023, some video ideas I have in mind, and much more. So if you're the type of person or viewer that really likes these casual sit-down videos where I just kind of share my ideas and thoughts with you, kind of unscripted, just kind of stream of conscious kind of video, please stick around. I would really love to have you here and have you listen to all the things I have planned for this upcoming year. But I also understand if you're not the type of viewer that enjoys sit-down videos and you enjoy reading vlogs, do not worry, I will have reading vlogs and more interactive style content coming your way very soon. I tend to make these intros super unnecessarily long, so I think we should just jump into this video. I have some notes here on my computer, so if I'm looking down ever, that's why. But I think I want to start this video with talking about what my reading goals are for this year. For example, like, do I want to read a certain number of books? Do I want to read a certain amount of books per month? And stuff like that. The short answer to this question is no, I don't actually have a reading goal for this year. I've really been thinking about this a lot since it's about halfway through January already. I finished one book and it was really good. I'm already on my second, and I was thinking about, did I want to set a reading goal for this year? For example, like, do I want to read one book a month, 2 books a month, something like that. I did end up reading a total of 24 books last year, and I set my goal at 20 books, but this year I'm not so sure if I want to do that. Basically, with all the different things going on in my life right now, I feel like I can't confidently say that I'm going to read one book a month just because my schedule changes so much and my mood for reading changes so much because I'm such a mood reader. So I think my goal instead for this year is going to be reading 30 minutes a day. I think this is a much more manageable goal because I think I'm not putting the pressure on myself then to read a certain number of books and just reading to get to the next book count. But this way I'm really just making sure I have time for reading and I'm reading the books that I like. So I think that's the best option for me this year, is instead of saying I have to read X number of books by the end of 2023, I'm just going to say I challenge myself to read 30 minutes of a book I like every single day. And that's not to say I don't want to do projects on this channel like reading challenges. It's just I really want to read more books I like because I just feel like I DNF'd so many books last year that I was kind of forcing myself to read, and I don't want to fall into that trap again this year. So that's what I'm going to say on that for now, is 30 minutes a day for the entire year. I think that's very manageable, and I'm really looking forward to getting into more reading. The second thing I want to go through in this video is my kind of tentative TBR for this year. I don't have time right now to go into every single book in detail, but I do have a list of 16 books that I kind of want to read this year. And I say kind of because I know that my TBRs are really fluid and they can just change at a moment's notice. Like I said, I'm a really big mood reader, so I don't force myself to read books that I'm not in the mood to read. So I'm just going to go through the list and give a little bit of a description on each book I want to read, but I'm not going to go into detail at length. I think that could be a whole other video. So these are the 16 books that I'm tentatively wanting to read in 2023, starting with The Stolen Book of Evelyn, Aubrey. This was actually Barnes & Noble's monthly pick, or one of their monthly picks, for the months of November and December. This is a historical fiction, dual timeline, I think dual POV mystery thriller book. It sounds really, really interesting. It's like about an author, an English author. I think she's in like 1890s, and she has a husband who's really resentful of her writing skills and abilities, and he ends up stealing her manuscripts and publishing her manuscripts under his name, and then she mysteriously disappears a few years later, and then the other timeline follows her great-great-granddaughter in the present. So it sounds really interesting. I feel like it would have a lot of suspense to it, and I'm really looking forward to reading it. The next book series I actually want to read is the Trials of Apollo series by Rick Riordan. Now, you guys know that I'm a really big Percy Jackson fan. I've read the Percy Jackson and the Olympian series and the Heroes of Olympus series multiple times, but it may surprise you to learn that I've never actually read the Trials of Apollo. I just got the box set last year. I got all 5 books in, the box set, obviously, but I think this is the year that I really want to tackle them. I have been spoiled a lot for the series already, so I do know a lot of the major plot points already. But nevertheless, I love Rick Riordan, I love his writing, and I'd really love to read them, and I think that'd be a super fun video, like to read all 5 Trials of Apollo books in one video, because I know they're middle grade, so they're not super challenging reads for me right now. So I think that might be a really fun video idea. Number 3, The Atlas 6 by Olive Blake. This book has been on my TBR for like over a year now. I finally own a physical copy of it. I kept checking it out from the library over and over again, thinking I'd read it eventually, but I never got to it. So I had to just cave and buy it from Target. I really want to read this book. Basically, if you guys know, the Atlas 6 TikTok sensation book about 6 magicians competing to get into the Alexandrian Society. I hear a lot of good things about it. It's very highly rated. It's all over BookTok and Bookstagram, and I really want to get to it this year. Next, Darius the Great deserves better. Now, if you guys watched my 7 favorite books of 2022 video, you know that one of my favorite books from that list is actually Darius the Great is Not Okay, and Darius the Great Deserves Better is a sequel to that book. We follow Darius a little bit after the events of the first book. He has his first boyfriend, he's in high school again, he's trying to keep in contact with Sohrab from the first book, and I have to read it because I love Darius the Great is Not Okay so much. I just want to see what the sequel gives, and I believe there's even a 3rd book coming out eventually too. Next we have Babel by R.F. Kuang. I feel like don't have to say anything about Babel, the internet sensation, award-winning, amazing book. I just have to read it ASAP. Next we have the Kiss Quotient by Helen Huang. This is another romance book that's been on my radar for a little while. I don't own it physically. I think I'm probably going to get it from the library eventually and read it. I haven't been reading a ton of romance lately. Actually, the last romance book I read was The Bromance Book Club, which was last month. And this book just sounds really cute and interesting, and I really want to read it this year. Next, we have People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry, the only Emily Henry book that I have not read yet in her kind of trio of book lovers, People We Meet on Vacation and Beach Read. So I do own Beach Read and Book Lovers. I love Beach Read and Book Lovers, and I really want to read People We Meet on Vacation and see what it's all about. Next, we have The Silent Patient. I think this is Alix Michaelides. Again, another kind of TikTok sensation book that's a mystery thriller. It's been on my list for a while, and one of my best friends is actually really hoping I read it, and I think I probably will do People We Meet on Vacation and The Silent Patient in a video for like a TikTok book reads video. So maybe keep your eye out for that in the next few months. Next, we have The Tea Girl of Hummingbird Lane by Lisa C. Now, this is a really interesting read for me because I haven't actually read a Lisa C book in many years. For those of you who don't know, I'm a huge proponent and fan and advocate of Lisa C's books. She writes a lot of East Asian historical fiction books, and she's possibly my favorite author of all time. This book is one of the only Lisa C books I haven't read, and I just feel like I have to give Lisa C her moment because I feel like she's just not talked about on this booktube space enough, at least in the channels I watch. I don't see her name mentioned ever. She's such an amazing writer, and I feel like we gotta give her props because she's absolutely amazing. And this book, sounds like it's no exception. It sounds like it's another amazing read. And I really want to do maybe a reading vlog on some of her other books as well because, like I said, she's amazing and one of my favorites. Next, we have Lunar Love. I believe this is Lauren Kong Jessen. This is a new release fiction romance book, which I think just came out on the 10th of this month. This book sounds really cute. It's another romance book that's enemies to lovers between, I think, a girl who is studying, or she's like, her family's in the business of traditional Chinese matchmaking, and she ends up kind of clashing heads with a guy who's like a new dating app developer, and they kind of like make a bet with one another that they'll find each other a date using their own means, but they end up falling in love instead. So it sounds like some really enemies to lovers good stuff, and I really want to read it soon. Next, we have the book that I'm actually currently in the middle in, and that is The Bone Shard Daughter by Andrea Stewart. Now, I have had a tricky relationship with fantasy books the past year. I DNF'd almost every single fantasy book I read last year with the exception of A Court of Thorns and Roses. I won't go into that right now about the books I DNF'd, but I just want to say that I think fantasy is just really not my genre. Again, I'm trying not to force myself to read it too much. However, I do feel like I want to get into a series of books that I really like and really can get into because I just tend to read standalone novels all the time. I just think adult fantasy is just really not my thing, and I don't know why I'm not clicking with it. But so far with The Bone Shard Daughter, I'm really enjoying it. I'm about 140 pages in, and I really hope I enjoy it because there's another book out already and then a 3rd book coming out in April. So I'm really hoping that I can get into this series and kind of have a new series that becomes my personality. The next 2 books I think are books that are slightly less known. Again, I don't always want to read just the books that are popular, although I do read my fair share of popular books. But the next book is actually The Defining Decade by Meg J. I'm 23, I'm still figuring my life out, and I feel like this book would be really good to read. I actually own it in a physical copy, and I think, again, this might make a really interesting reading vlog, where like 23-year-old reads The Defining Decade and tries to figure his life out. Because I think I've heard that it provides a lot of good insight for people in their 20s, and I definitely need that insight right now. The next book is called Ghost Music by An Yu. This book is another recent release, and I think it follows a woman who lives with her husband and mother-in-law, and she's a piano teacher who was on the path to being a concert pianist but never really achieved that dream and is now kind of dealing with some of the resentment of feeling that not, really making it in like the elite classical music circles. And that's all I really know about this book. I really want to read it as I'm a classical pianist, and I really feel like I would relate to a lot of the things in that book, especially about piano playing, so I really want to read it soon. Next, this is actually a book that is not out yet, and that is Happy Place by Emily Henry. So I mentioned Emily Henry a few minutes ago. I don't remember what I mentioned her about. But this book comes out in April. This is her, I think, 4th romance novel as far as I know. And I don't know anything about this book yet. All I know is that it has a really beautiful pink cover, and it comes out in April, and it's Emily Henry, so she's become one of my few auto-buy authors, so I'm definitely going to get this book when it comes out. Next, we have another adult fantasy book, and I don't know if I'm gonna, I don't know if I'm gonna like it or not, but it is the Daughters of Izdihar, and I hope I'm saying that right. I don't know the author at this time, but I'll put I'll put the book here. This is another adult fantasy that takes place in a setting that is similar to Egypt, so like a fantastical setting of Egypt, where we follow women who can enter this academy to control the elements, and it sounds like it's kind of set in a world that is a very patriarchal society where women have to actually have their husband's approval before they can enter this academy. And it sounds like there's maybe a dual POV love in this romance in this book. I'm not 100% sure. I just read about this book the other night on Goodreads, and it sounded really amazing, so I want to pick it up. I think this also is already out. And then the last book I want to talk about for this TBR is The 3 Lives of Alix St. Pierre. This is a historical fiction book, and I feel like I had to have one historical fiction book on this list because I did enjoy one of the only historical fiction books I read last year, The Last Bookshop in London, which guys know from my favorite books of 2022 video. This is about a woman named Alix St. Pierre who I think it takes place in 3 different timelines. So before World War II, her adventures during World War II, and then the events after. And it sounds really, really interesting. It kind of sounds like she's running in a lot of different social circles, but also being like some sort of agent spy person for the government. I'm not 100% sure, but it sounds really amazing. Again, if you guys want to check out any of the books, I will leave them all listed in the description down below if you want to check them out yourself, because like I said, I can't go into too much detail right now. So yeah, with The 3 Lives of Alix St. Pierre, that wraps up the books I want to tentatively read for this year. Like I said, I'm sure this will change a lot throughout the remainder of the year, and I will pick up books that are not on this list as well. So again, if you want to stay updated with me and all the books I want to read, you can follow me at Goodreads. Follow me on Goodreads, which I will have linked in the description down below. But I think we should move on now to some other just random thoughts I've been having about BookTube and other things in general. And the first thing I want to talk about is buying less books / getting an e-reader. This has been something that's been on my mind for a very long time now because I am never someone who buys a lot of physical books. I've never been that person. I will say last month, the month of December, was not a great month for me in terms of that. I definitely hauled a lot of books. I think my bookshelf grew about 10 books, and that was including buying books and getting books as gifts. And I just have been thinking a lot about book consumerism and overconsumption in the BookTube community a lot lately, because I just feel like these book videos with people are saying, oh, I hauled 100 books. It's like, I just don't personally get it. I don't personally, at least for me, to speak very candidly, I would never have the money to haul that many books at one time. And I just feel like I want to downsize on my book collection in general. I do have a full bookshelf now, basically. You can see like it is from top to bottom pretty full. And I really want to keep it that way and not really get any more books right now. So I definitely want to say I'm going on like a very loose book buying ban for the month of January at least. I will definitely say it's tough because there are a number of new releases out that I can't get at the library quite yet. And so that's going to definitely be hard because, like I said, I want to read Lunar Love, which is a new release, but I don't have it at my library yet. So I have to kind of weigh my options and see, like, when I want to buy books. But the topic of an e-reader has been something that's been on my mind for a very long time. I've never been someone who's been really good at using electronic alternatives to anything. I really prefer, like, when I take notes by paper. When I read books, I prefer physical books. But I feel like having an e-reader would be super useful now, just because my family and I are going to be moving again this year, because we moved in 2021, and I think we're going to move again at the end of this year. So having a bunch of physical books is not the most practical thing when we already have a lot of other stuff in our apartment. It's just, again, another bunch of things to move. So I really am thinking about getting an e-reader, condensing my collection a lot to only the books I really want to keep. And so I want to hear your guys' thoughts down in the comments below. I'm going to ask you guys for a lot of your opinions throughout the remainder of the video because I have a lot of things I'm thinking about and really want to hear input from you guys. So do you use an e-reader? Do you like e-readers? Have you thought about using an e-reader before? If you have any recommendations, please leave them in the comments down below and I will definitely check them out. I also want to talk about the videos you guys want to see from me because I haven't uploaded too many videos since my return to BookTube in August. I have been mostly doing reading vlogs and other like sit-down content like this, and I really want to again hear from you guys. What kind of videos do you like to see? Do you prefer sit-down videos like this where I kind of just give you my stream of consciousness thoughts? Or do you prefer more videos that are like scripted, planned out, where like I tell you about a certain set of books? Or do you prefer reading vlogs kind of like that I've done in the past few months, where I just kind of like run errands, be outside, do other things in addition to reading? So again, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below, so please don't be shy, please leave them and I will check them out. Another just random topic I want to talk about is balancing reading with working. And again, I know I've said this like 3 times already, but please leave any advice you have in the comments, because I am someone who's working only part-time right now, and I'm not working a particularly demanding job, but I'm having trouble balancing reading and working for sure. I want to be reading more, I want to be making YouTube content more, but it's just the time is not there. So I definitely want to ask you guys for some advice. If you guys have any advice with balancing reading and working. Part of my goal this year with setting my reading goal of 30 minutes a day is to balance that. So I'm not putting pressure on myself, like I said, to read a certain number of books per month, but instead setting a reading goal of 30 minutes a day and just saying, I'll read when I get the chance. I'll read these 30 minutes whenever I have the day off, or whenever at the end of the day or the beginning of the day I have time. But if you have any advice, I'd love to hear it. Again, kind of on this topic of random things I'm just thinking about and have in my notes here is, again, reading vlogs versus sit-down book chats. I do really want to hear from you guys which you like more. I can even put up like a community poll tab and see which is more popular, because I enjoy doing more unscripted videos because I don't have to spend time scripting them, which takes a lot of time in my little perfectionistic brain. But I do also enjoy just sitting down, walking through very methodically like the types of books I'm reading. But again, I want to hear from you guys. If you prefer reading vlogs or you prefer more sit-down book chats, just let me know. And then the last thing I want to talk about is the different types of videos that I could do on this channel this year. Because yes, I am a booktube channel. I mainly talk about books and do videos centered around books. But like I said in my booktube newbie tag video on my channel, there's so much more to my personality that I have that is not reading. So like I said, I'm a classical musician. I play clarinet and piano, and then I also studied Japanese in college, and learning Japanese and teaching Japanese is a really big part of me. I'd really like to do videos that are centered around language learning and music. But I also don't want to detract from the booktube content, so I'm really trying to find a way where this year I can balance those types of content out and bring the content to you guys and those of you who are interested in it. Because like I said, those are such big parts of my life, and I really would like to share them with you guys. So, but with those random thoughts out of the way, that is actually all I have for this video. I hope you guys got to learn a little bit more about my reading plans for this year, my other goals in general. I hope you will follow me on Instagram and Goodreads. Both will be linked in the description down below. Make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel for more bookish content coming your way soon. And I will see you guys in the next one. My name is Alessandro. Thank you so much for checking out the video today, and I will see you later. Bye!